It's like if Friday the 13th met Hot Tub Time Machine.
And a little bit of Last Action Hero.
Yes. I had like another joke to go on after that, but that is a really good observation. Like, oh, god damn, it is. It is like all three of those things combined together. Except it's not tainted by the awfulness of Last Action Hero. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
I'm actually sad because since nobody knows what this movie is, I know not a lot of people are going to watch this review, and it's a shame because this movie is so goddamn good. I was looking up, listen, all week long, the theme that we're doing here on the Post-Shriek Out Reaction is horror comedies. I looked up and Collider had put together a list of the best horror comedies. And I saw this movie on there and I went, I have no idea what this is. I read the description and it went, this was an indie film. It went around the, festival circuit, and it is a hidden gem. We're telling you, go and see this. You've never heard of it, but you have to watch this movie. Oh my god, now I'm telling you this thing. I love this film. What this movie is about is, it is about this girl who was the daughter of a scream queen. She was in this horror film called, I have complete Bloodbath.
Camp
Bloodbath, that was it, yes, okay. She was in this horror film called Camp Bloodbath, which is basically just Friday the 13th. Like, it is like 90% just Friday the 13th. But that's fine, that's fine. It actually helps that this is very close to a pre-existing property. But this thing opens up with her waiting in the car as her mom is going to an audition, and the mom comes back, and she's just like, yeah. Every single time I go into an audition, they're just like, oh yeah, you were in Camp Bloodbath. If you ever become an actress, don't be in a slasher film, which I kind of like the fact that you have an actress telling an actress, don't be in a slasher film. I kind of like that.
Well, like, her daughter didn't actually want to be in
I'm talking about the meta sense.
The meta sense, yes.
I'm talking about, like, you have a real-world actress telling another real-world actress who is in a slasher film right now, don't do that. And so it's one of those things that I kind of, like, dig those little meta things. But they have, like, this very loving relationship. They have a good, like, mother-daughter relationship. Mm-hmm. You think about the fact that, you know, her mom's a struggling actress. You hear all those horror stories about, like, and then they tried to turn their daughter into an actress and do it. Like, no, it's not that at all.
No, she didn't, and I'm glad. I'm so glad.
Yeah, you instantly, within this one car ride that they're in, you look at them and you just go, I totally get the loving connection between this mother and this daughter. It is great in here. And then their car gets jackknifed, and the mom dies, and then it cuts ahead by 3 years. Which, one thing that I gotta say, this movie does a pretty damn good job of making the same actresses look completely different ages. Because when this thing opened up, the actress who ends up playing herself 3 years down the road, she looked like she was like a freshman in high school. She looked like maybe even like a junior high student. And I kept thinking, wow, that's really weird that they're going to hire a different actress just to play her 3 years later. But no, it's the same actress, but she looks 3 years older. And then the mom, you see her in flashbacks, or we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
You see her in the Camp Bloodbath movie, and it's clear she's definitely older than the other people in there, or she's older than, you know, than what her age is supposed to be. But she definitely looks like a decade at least younger than she was when she was a mom. And it's not like they slather them in makeup or anything. It's just kind of like the attire, it's the way that they act in here. It's actually really impressive that they were able to do all that. But yeah, so she wakes up and now she's basically kind of been on her own for 3 years because her dad, she never even knew her dad.
Yeah, like her aunt took her in pretty much.
Yeah.
And she has like a stepbrother or like
No, that's someone else. That's someone.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. She has a friend, which this thing, I kept hearing this is a great horror comedy. And the opening of this film is so dramatic. And I just looked at it and went, oh, crap. I think people have a different definition. I think people have a different definition of comedy from me, because this thing was so serious. But then she gets in the car with her friend, and her friend is played by Maybe from Arrested Development. I went, a comedic actress! Oh, thank God! Okay, yes, I'm in this now. I have some hope on this thing. And then they meet up with Maybe's stepbrother.
Yeah.
And they then meet up with this guy who is meant to be the love interest for Max, our protagonist.
Yes.
And that dude is the most handsome man I have seen in any horror film. That dude is so handsome, you have to comment on it. Like,
And then there's the
Like-
bitchy girlfriend.
yeah, like I don't want to come in here and be like, I don't want to be an asshole on this or anything, but Max looks like a perfectly fine, like, she looks very nice. She looks like a perfectly fine high school student, but then you see like her hooking up with this guy, and you're just like, this guy is like a male model. How did you land this? You never let this go. You hold on to this man forever. Because he's also like a really nice dude. Like, this guy is so handsome. You keep expecting him to turn out to be an asshole, but he is the nicest guy in this entire movie. It's like, oh my God, this is like the biggest catch of any horror movie character you will ever find. You see that guy and you're just like, I understand why she wants to risk life and limb to save this man. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to stop fawning over the characters in these movies. There has been a theme this entire Thorgy Ween. So anyway,
That'll be for next Thorgy Ween's theme, like
the hottest people in horror movies. So yeah, and then they also meet up with the. I'm gonna call her the popular girl, but you never really get a sense that she is popular. But she acts like the mean girl. She acts like the person who's just better than everyone else. And she is trying to hit on Max's love interest so hard. Like,
I don't blame her.
yeah. And I mean, they did used to date at one point, but she's actually like they're still dating. And her love interest is just like, fine, I'm gonna be polite. Gonna be polite about this. Gonna be polite. Like, there's a moment in which at the movie theaters that they go to, he goes, hey, so you want to get some popcorn? Yeah, okay. How about we get some popcorn? We also get a bag of M&Ms, pour it in there, so every single handful is like a little surprise. Like, that's the sweetest goddamn thing I've ever heard. That is like the most charming, like, small, folksy town thing I have ever heard in my life. And then popular girl comes in there and is like, hey, could you also get me like a child-sized soda and small popcorn?
A diet soda, a child-sized popcorn,
and dump half of it in the trash. Yeah, it's just, man. You talk about how we've been talking this week about how we just appreciate films that let you know exactly what a character is right after you get to know them. Goddamn, like that description of what she wants from the vendor at the concession stand, that did it. Yep, that's everything you need to know.
Yeah, and the stepbrother too.
The stepbrother
like
is...
he is like a big diehard fan of like the Camp Bloodbath movies, so he's always
and
like...
he works at the theaters,
Yeah.
so they're holding like a marathon. And he is trying to get Max to come because, yeah, you're the daughter of Nancy in the movie, which that's like the one name I remembered in here because I went, oh, shout out to Nightmare on Elm Street. I get that. All right, that's cool. But yeah, you're the daughter of Nancy, so if you're there, maybe come on by, do a Q&A. It's like, I'll come on by, and then he gets there, like, all right. So, and he didn't even tell her about the Q&A, but she gets there and goes, all right, cool. So you ready for the Q&A? I'm not doing the Q&A. I'll put you down as a maybe. Like, that was exactly like the level of, he's not an asshole, he's just overly obsessed with this film to the point of not noticing what's going on around him. He is so laser focused on this film. And maybe is maybe. If you've seen that actress in anything, you know what she's going to be. But she does that well. She does that incredibly well in whatever she's in, so good for her. But they're watching this movie, and all of a sudden, the theater catches on fire. Which it catches on fire through this Ruth Goldberg way that I was actually kind of impressed with. And the theater catches on fire, and the exits are blocked off. And which, by the way, it just hit me. We never found out what happened to anybody else, like if anybody survived that fire. But the exits are blocked off, and then they look up at the screen, and they go, wait, is there an exit behind the screen? Yeah, there is. Okay, and she picks up one of the prop machetes that someone brought along in this. She goes over, and she slices into the screen at the exact moment that the killer slices into the screen. And then it causes like this big opening glowing hole, and they escape into it, and now they're suddenly in the woods. And they're like, did we all die in that fire? Are we in heaven? Sorry for that weird cut, but I got so tired of calling everyone mean girl, hunky guy, maybe, and the brother that I had to actually look their names up. So they arrive in these woods. They're like, what's going on? Are we in heaven? What happened? Did we die in that fire? And then this old van starts pulling up, and it's the same band from the beginning of the movie, playing the same song from the beginning of the movie, and it pulls up, and they look at, and it's the people from the movie, and they pop their heads out and go, hey, do you know the way to this camp? Like, they just keep staring at them, like they're in disbelief. You go, okay, thanks, bye! And then they drive away. And then it cuts to 92 minutes later. And I instantly started cracking up because I just love specifics. Like, anytime that you, like, just don't go 2 hours later, but you give me, like, an exact number, it's kind of funny to me. But also, I was like, that's probably the length of the movie. So is the movie going to end? What's going to happen? Because we read the description of this film. We know what's happening in here. But then the car comes pulling up again. And then they go, hey, do you know Ace Camp? It's right down this way. Okay, thanks, bye! Drives off. And then as soon as it drives off, Duncan, the brother, I realize we haven't told you guys the names.
movie buff.
The movie buff, the brother, Duncan, he pulls out his watch and goes, tink, tink. And then they keep walking, and then they just go, oh my god, we've been walking forever. We have no idea where anything is. Like, it's like they're trapped in limbo. And then Duncan just goes, 5, 4, 3, 2. And then the car comes pulling up again and pulls up, and Duncan goes, yeah, the camp, it's that way, but tell you what, we're actually counselors there. We can show you exactly where to let us in. And Duncan has now figured out what's going on, and he's explaining to them. And Duncan is all on board with this, and I like this idea that there's a guy who is obsessed with this film. He knows the rules of this film. He knows how it works. So he is going to make sure that they just like survive through this thing. I like the idea that there is like a guide to the horror film. But yeah, they're now essentially trapped inside this horror film. And you might think, okay, well, they have to live out this horror film. There's so many ways that they make this different. That isn't just, okay, well, we're within the story of this. There's so many little things that they do with it, like, you know, when the title text comes up, they can see title text in here. There's a great gag that they do with a flashback later on in this film that was genius, I thought. And basically what they end up realizing is they have to follow the rules of the horror film. And the rule is that the last girl, the final girl, has to be the one that ends up killing, what was the big monster's name? Like,
Billy Murphy.
Billy, yeah, it was just Billy.
Murphy?
Billy Murphy, yeah, yes. You got it right.
I was gonna say Bill Murray. I was like, no, wrong movie.
Oh, that's really close. So
yes.
I'm wondering if there's like any reason behind that. But yeah, the serial killer named Billy Murphy, they have to have the final girl kill him. So they're like, all right, we just have to wait until the final girl shows up. Then we just stick on her because everyone else is gonna die. Like, there's a moment in which they witness someone being killed by Billy Murphy, and they're like, we got to do something. And he's like, no, this has to play out like it's going to play out. But you guys now have to remember something. Max's mom died, and she's had no one this whole time, and she misses her mom because they had this great relationship. And now she is in this film with her mom, but not mom, because it's the character her mom played. Mm-hmm. And Max is like, I have to save her. And they're trying to tell her, that's not actually your mom. You know that, right? But she starts talking to Nancy and starts like forming this connection with her. And it's one of those weird things that, like I said, this is kind of like Hot Tub Time Machine, but it's also kind of like any time travel film where you have a character go back and meet their parents. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, I got big vibes from Back to the Future in here. Where she's talking to her not mom, but still kind of her mom, and her mom's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna hook up with Mark tonight, which, the guy she's trying to hook up with, is played by that guy from Workaholics, Adam Devine. Yeah, I'm gonna hook up with Kurt, and it's gonna be a magical thing. It's gonna be this special thing, and she knows that Kurt is a complete piece of crap. She knows that Kurt is the complete asshole in this film who is there to be killed off early on because he's the complete asshole in the film. But she also knows if you hook up with him, that's the rules of a horror film. The moment someone has sex, the serial killer shows up to kill them. Mm-hmm. So she's trying to get her mom to not have sex. And like, no, listen, you don't need to do all this. And she's trying to give her like the loving speech about how, no, don't lower yourself down. You're better than that. You know, have some self-confidence in yourself, because her mom is not the final girl.
No.
But Nancy kind of wants her to be the final girl in the film, so that way she can survive. Mm-hmm. And she starts like forming that fantasy in her head. If she survives, maybe we can bring her back to my world. Maybe that's something that we can do. Oh, we can have my mom come back and my mom will be alive again. I just dropped my phone.
I'll get it.
Thank you, because I can't bend over because I just had surgery 2 days ago. Thank you. So there's this really deep emotional level to
Yeah.
this. Which I'm actually wondering how you felt about this, because we've mentioned this before on the show when we review films that specifically have a mother-daughter relationship. Those always tend to hit you kind of hard. Did you get like a little extra emotions out of this, do you think?
Yeah, I did. It's like, I understand what Max was going through, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, you have to learn to let things go, and that's one
That's
of the
the
things.
message of the film.
Yeah, she learns that like she can't change the past or anything, and like she has to like move on.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that this film did an excellent job on that. Like, it's honestly shocking to me some of the emotional scenes that they get between Nancy and Max in here. I think that they're great in this film, especially for how goofy this film can get at times. And I love how they do just play into, we are in a bad slasher film. And I mentioned, like, you know, they do stuff with like a flashback or like title text and stuff like that. But there are small things that they put in here. Like Duncan, you know, he's a fan of the film, and he goes up to Kurt, who's like the dumb jock in the group. And he goes up to him, well, he's not really even the jock, he's the dumb bully of the group. And he goes up to him, and they're having a conversation, and he goes, yeah, well, what do you want? Could you zing me really quick? He goes, okay, why don't you go suck on a turd? And then Duncan just goes, oh, the writing is so bad. I love that. That line cracked me up so hard. I love that line in there. And again, it's like they're pointing out, yeah, Kurt is not a well-written character because they're not in a well-written movie. But it is a well-written movie with, like, outside of the not well-written, like, it's this weird turducken of cleverness.
Like, what's very interesting to me is like the whenever like Kurt and like the love interest, what was his name again?
Hot guy. Yes, Chris Briggs.
Chris, like.
Which, goddamn, that's an action movie character name. Chris Briggs. That is the star of the next Resident Evil.
So yeah, like whenever like Kurt and Chris interacted with each other, yeah, that was great because like you have the pretty boy, which you assume would be like the douchebag, but then you have like the actual douchebag who's
kind of, listen, I'm not body shaming anybody on this, but Adam Devine is kind of doughy. I mean, he's got, like, I mean, he's a handsome guy, but I mean, he is not like going to the gym and bench pressing stuff. So when you have him there like flexing off, it's kind of meant to be humorous. That's like, yeah, you don't look like that type of guy, man. But this guy, Chris, actually, yeah, that is a guy who, he goes and he works out. And yet he is the most sensitive, like, caring guy. And I love that it is a dynamic between 1980s, 2015 when this film was made. I think it was made in 2015. But yeah, it is this great, like, dynamic between how much the, like, desirable man from the 1980s has changed going into 2015, because there's like moments where Kurt is flipping through a Playboy, like, oh yeah, check out them hooters, check that, like those are like the exact ways that he described it. And Chris is sitting there, and they've decided they have to pair off with everybody in the movie to make sure that they survive, that they don't like have sex or anything, that they don't get naked. So Chris has been paired up with Kurt, and then Chris is just there very uncomfortable. He's like, yeah, well, what about the articles in there? And then Kurt makes this very derogative gay comment in there, and Chris just goes, my dads are gay. So, like, you can tell he is just doing everything in his power to not punch this man in the face.
Like, he eventually, like, snaps and, like, puts him in a headlock and says, if you do anything, I will cut off your dick. Like...
Yeah, which I actually like that moment from Chris, because you could just tell that he was getting frustrated by everything in this situation. Like, I just want a nice, peaceful evening with Max, and then my ex-girlfriend is here, now we're trapped in a stupid movie, I have to hang out with this douchebag. You could feel like that tension was just boiling the entire time. But this movie, it does really clever stuff, again, with, like, when they know that they're in a horror film. Like, there's a moment where they have to try and trap Billy, and they go, all right, how do you get the killer to show up? Need someone to get naked, so they get like the crazy slutty girl from the movie to lift her top up, and then like the moment that they do that, Billy just appears out of the fog.
But you didn't even like do the build up. It's like they
Oh, there's a
literally
whole thing.
like they literally
There's a whole
they duct tape like oven mittens to her arms and put a life jacket over her so she doesn't like strip before and accidentally gets herself killed.
That is such a good gag. That she is like she's the dumb one in the film.
Yeah.
That is solely there to get naked for the audience. And yeah, there comes that point in which they're just like. They have duct tape oven mitts her. They have put a vest on her, a life jacket on her, and she can barely move. It looks like she's in like an inflatable suit. It's like, okay, she can't even like put her arms down. She's like in a penguin costume almost, like wah, 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 wah. And there comes that moment in which like there's like this montage of all them getting ready for Billy, and they just all crack their knuckles, and it's just a montage of all of them doing it, and they can start. With the oven mitts on, can't figure out how to do it. It's just such a good gag there. I'm not gonna. We're going to normally with the post readout reaction we do get into full spoilers on this thing. We are gonna do it because I do have some things to comment on the full spoiler stuff in here. But if you have not seen this film, tune out now. Tune the fluff out now. Like just go away. Done.
Yes.
It's over with right now.
You should watch it.
It's really good. This film, it is absolutely worth your time. Like I said, it's got like the time travel elements of like hot tub time machine in there. It's got the Friday the 13th setup in there, but what they do with the movie elements, you're right, it's Last Action Hero, except done way better. So yeah, this movie, it's insanely clever, and it's one of those ideas that you hear it and it's like, oh, they're trapped in a horror film. It's like, okay, that's interesting enough. But they do such good stuff with it. And when you see what they're doing with it, you stop and you think, how has no one thought to do this yet? It's one of those brilliant ideas that just been sitting on the table and no one even noticed until now. So yeah, go and see this, but we do need to get into spoiler stuff right now. This film, both our jaws were on the floor. After it got to the moment in which everybody at the camp starts panicking because they have come to realize that Billy's there. What happened was they realize that Billy's there, so they go, okay, well, you gotta tell them the story of Billy, and then Nancy starts telling them the story of Billy, and they do a flashback, and the people who are trapped in the movie, they get sent back in time with the flashback, and they are there witnessing Billy's first murders, and they get like blood splattered all over them, and then it cuts back to the present, and now they have blood splattered all over them, and the camp counselors turn around and just see suddenly they're covered in blood. So they all freak out and start running to their cars and start driving out of there. And they drive out of there, and Paula, who was the last girl, the one they needed to stick with, her car ends up ramming something on the way out.
I think it was a totem pole or something.
Yeah, it was a totem pole.
Yeah, and
after they end up hitting something else, which that I'll leave for everyone. Even for the people out there who are like, oh, stick through what they hit before they end up hitting the totem pole is such a good gag. That I kind of wanted that gag to keep going. Because it was this thing that's like, well, that's gone from the movie. Oh, it's back! And then it's never back again. I want that to keep coming back again and again and again. But the car blows up.
Yeah, no, like Kurt was in the passenger
car
seat,
too.
and he went flying across.
Which he ends up like folding himself in trice, like not even like folding himself in half, but like folds over and then folds over again.
Gets all rolled up, honestly, like.
He smacked, like, it is one of the best kills in this entire movie. It's not even like a purposeful kill. But then the car blows up, and our jaws were dropped because we're looking at it like, they just killed the final girl. The one who was supposed to murder Billy at the end of this film. And then this movie becomes them going, okay, well, I guess we have to murder them. But we still need a virgin to kill him. And then Max is like, well, I don't know if I could do it. So Nancy volunteers because Max stopped Nancy from having sex with Kurt. So she's still alive. So now this film is completely different, but they then have to explain to them, you're in a horror movie. And this is how this is working. And so now you actually have the characters in the movie now knowing that they're in a movie, but they're going along with all this stuff. And, I mean, we haven't even mentioned, what's his name? The one that, maybe, or as she's known in this film, Gertie, the one that she's trying to hook up with Blake. That guy, I love that guy was so just like, cool. Like, he's just willing to go along with anything. So we're in a horror movie? Cool. Like, he asked, so is New Wave still real? Yeah, New Wave is still real. All right, okay. Like, that was his only concern.
I'm not real, but New Wave is? Okay, I can deal with that. Like,
Yeah, I think that was his line. So good. But yeah, they set up this whole trap for him. And yeah, they need to get the dumb girl to end up doing a striptease for him. But the dumb girl finds like the bitchy girl's Adderall, and she takes it all, which that's one complaint that I have, is that they come in and go, guys, we have a problem. And then you see her like tweaking out like, how many do you take? I took 3. No, 10. 30. And she's like freaking out and going, I don't know if she can do this. Hey, I can still do it. And then she still did it, and then she died immediately after she did it. But I mean, she summoned out Billy, she did the things she was supposed to do. There's one small problem I have that I was like, well, why put in there the gag that she took all the Adderall if it didn't amount to anything? Because if she didn't take the Adderall, she still would have done the striptease and she still would have died anyway. So it feels like maybe that felt like a setup for a great gag in here. That the person who needed to do the striptease now like couldn't do it because they were tweaking out. Well, we gotta find someone else like right now to do a striptease, and then you could have like the scene of like them going around like, okay, well, who has to do a striptease? Well, it can't be Nancy. She's the last girl. She's the one who has to kill him, so she can't summon it. So who's left? Who's left? Who that can do the striptease? Like, I think that could be like a great gag in here, and it feels like it's set up, but they don't do anything with it. Instead, they just do what would have happened if the gag wasn't set up at all. So yeah, that's a small complaint. Also, another small complaint. I know this is supposed to be Friday the 13th. It is so Friday the 13th that I feel like you could have gone a little bit more like
mixed in some other of the horror movies in there.
Exactly, because it is like 90% Friday the 13th. And you just look at that and just go, now, like, it's so on the nose that I know what you're doing, but I kind of feel like if you can't actually do the thing, don't get 90% of the way to the thing.
Like, they even have, like, the sound effect.
Yes.
And
which that is so close to the actual sound effect.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got away with it. The actual sound effect, I can't remember what it actually is because what they say it actually is does not sound like it at all. And it feels like here they just came in and went, oh, so it's not it's not that? Cool, we're going to do and you can't sue us. Like, it feels like that's what they did.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it sounds exactly like it. Which there was a good gag in there that anytime that happens, none of the movie characters can hear it, but all of our characters can. So that's their early warning system that's coming. So, yeah, I actually thought that was a great gag in here. But this all leads into a sequence in which everybody starts dying here, including, like, the real-life people. And that gets kind of dramatic in there. But it comes down to Chris, Max, and Nancy are the only ones left. And Chris is stabbed. And so Chris is dying. He's in the church. He's in this, like, little church within the camp. And he is bleeding out there. And Nancy's been taken back to Billy's headquarters, to Billy's hideout. And Max goes, I'm going to go and rescue her. And this is when it gets shockingly emotional. Like, there was a nice moment before that in which Nancy still doesn't know that she's Max's mom. And they're having a conversation about how Nancy wishes she could survive so she could become a mom. And you can tell Max just wants to tell her, like, you were a great mom. Like, she wants to tell her that so bad, but she can't. She wants to reach out to her mom one last time, and she just can't do it. And Chris is trying to tell her, you can't actually save her. Like, it's not going to work. I'm sorry. And Chris, man, he gets deep in this moment. Like, he's bleeding out there. He just goes, I don't want to die alone. Man, that's a serious line to suddenly throw into this film. But she goes in there, she rescues Nancy, and she takes Nancy back to the church. And we thought Chris was dead. Chris like wasn't moving at this point.
No.
So we thought that he was gone. But I still, in the back of my mind, had the thought of, like, as long as Max survives and gets out of the film, everyone will come back. So I wasn't too heartbroken about anybody actually dying in this film because I thought, all right, Max is going to survive, and then all of them are going to be alive at the end of this thing. But this comes down to Nancy finally has to, like, realize, I'm not going to be the final girl. There can't be multiple final girls, and you have to live, Max. So Max has to watch as her mom goes off to sacrifice herself, and she has to summon Billy, so she summons him with a striptease because that's the rule of a horror film. And it's so shocking to me that you have a very dramatic, emotional goodbye between a mom and a daughter during a striptease. Like, it should not work. But it does because they build up to it appropriately. It's stunning how that works. But then Billy comes out there and kills her. And then Max gets up, and Max is now a number one badass, picks up the machete and starts twirling around her hands. And goes out there and gets into like this Matrix fight with Billy. I wish they had gone further with that. I wish that she had been like, yeah, the rules are on my side now. Because, yeah, it feels like it's going to do that when she picks up and like she like twists the machete around. Like she's just an expert at handling this thing now. It feels like they should have leaned into that a little bit more. Like, I wish there had been like a moment where Billy stabs her, but like it doesn't cut her. Like he tries to stab her, but she's just bulletproof now. Because, yeah, can't kill off the final girl. She has to survive. Or, do something like that. Where Billy, it looks like he's trying, it looks like Billy kills her, but, like, Billy's arm stops, like, an inch away from her, and he can't be like, Like, for some reason, he just can't kill her.
I feel like that would have been going a little too far.
Okay, all right. I would like to see him, but okay, I can see that. But, yeah, they get into this big knockdown, drag-out fight. She ends up killing off Billy. And then Chris, he comes back up. And he seems totally fine now. He's still grabbing his guts. But he comes up now, and they kiss as the credits are rolling, which is a great effect of them looking over the horizon. And it's like the sun at the end of a horror movie coming up like, yes, we survived the night. Instead, it's just credits. I love that. I thought that was done incredibly well. Excuse me, indigestion. But then it gets to, like, the R-rated logo at the end, and they're just trapped there. And they go, now what? And then this, like, film reel starts to rip apart. It does the thing that, like, anybody who knows old film reels, you know what that looks like. And they start to fade away. It's like, hold on, no! And then they're gone, and they wake up in the hospital, and everyone's there. And everyone's recovered. But it's still happening. Like, Duncan lifts up his shirt, it's like, oh no, that's where a machete cut me. Which, kind of, it's interesting that they kept that around, because didn't Gertie and Bitchy Girl explode? Which, by the way, there's a great exchange in here. When they all think they're going to die between Bitchy Girl and Max and them. Like, they get, like, a lot of backstory in there. It's shocking how deep this movie gets. But they're in this hospital, and then all of a sudden they start hearing the cha-cha-cha-cha, and they look out and they see a doctor flirting with a nurse, and they're about to have sex right there. And then you realized it like 5 seconds before they said it. I thought it was going to be a thing where they brought the movie world into the real world. I thought that's what it was going to be like. Now people in the real world were going to be acting overly horny, and they were going to have the serial killer walking around the real world. But no, you realized what it was like right before they said it.
Yeah.
No, they're in the sequel.
Yeah, and the reason why I knew that is because when they were showing Camp Bloodbath in the movies, they were also showing like a double feature with the sequel.
Which, it's set up. They do set this up incredibly well. And yeah, it ends with Billy jumping in slow motion through the glass.
Yeah, over like the title card.
And John's just like, oh, the sequel's so good. And Max picks up a weapon like ready to go, and then credits. There's nothing else to say about this film. That's all it is. I love this film. This film is such. It was described as a hidden gem. This is a solid hidden gem. This is a film that if you've gotten to this point, you've seen the movie, you just want to know our thoughts on the rest of the film. It's so good. I love this thing. Like I said, got some few nitpicks in here about where I feel like they could have done something a little bit better, where they could have gone like a little bit further with something in here. But goddamn, this is so creative that I can't like. That's all they are. They're just nitpicks. They're just things that like I would have liked to have seen this, but what I still got was really damn good. This is up there now. Some of my favorite horror comedies. This might be in my top 5 favorite horror comedies. This is great. Yeah, you got anything else that you want to add to this?
No, I enjoyed it a lot, and like they do a really good job bringing in emotions, even though there's a lot of like, it's supposed to be a comedy and stuff.
Yeah, I'm thinking about other horror comedies that I absolutely love, like Tucker and Dale we talked about earlier this week. Got some nice emotional things in there. I didn't mention it in the review, but that moment where Dale is giving Tucker the "You're a good person, Tucker," like that speech in there. I thought, oh, that's a nice emotional thing. This movie outdoes that tremendously. Like, Shaun of the Dead is the only horror comedy I can think of that maybe gets this same level of emotions, but that's only with Shaun and his mom and Shaun and Ed. But this film, it's Max and her mom. It's Max and her friend from when she was a kid. Okay, I guess it's the exact same number of people in there. but there's more of it in here. Like, it feels like in Shaun of the Dead, every character gets that one really emotional connecting scene in there. Also, Shaun and his stepdad get like a nice little moment in there. So yeah, it's like they're neck and neck for like emotions put into a horror comedy. Yeah, this film is great. But thank you guys for tuning in. We got 3 more days of horror comedies, and then after that is viewer request week. So if you have any movies that you want us to review for Thorgy-ween, let us know that in the comments down below or on Twitter @Professor Thorgy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and happy Halloween.
Bye.